Amira, welcome to Crypto Weekly. I want to start actually, if you can give to our audience, what is Prypco and what problem are you looking at solving with this company?
Well, thank you for having me today. That's a great question to start. So with Prypco, we are one of the largest PropTech platforms in the MENA region. And today we're focused on two areas, which is financing. So we do mortgages. We're partnered with more than 18 leading banks in the country. And we do almost $1 billion dirhams of mortgages a month. And so that's a heavy focus for us. And then the second focus for us is fractional ownership, where we do fractional ownership. We are regulated by the DFSA. And we have our platform, Prypco Blocks. And then we recently launched Prypco Mint, which is our tokenization platform.
So I want to talk about that for when it comes to tokenized ownership. You know, obviously, we used to call this security tokens. It's been around for some time. The big challenge we always had was liquidity. How do you see being able to address this liquidity issue when it comes to fractional ownership or tokenized assets?
Look, liquidity in real estate is relatively easier than other real-world assets because it's yielding an actual dividend or an actual rental yield in this case. And so the liquidity is looked at in terms of a bigger pool of potential investors that are looking for a fixed yield that's paid monthly, quarterly, annually. Today, with interest rates going down and on a trend to be lowered and lowered, it's a very attractive, asset for somebody to own, where they know that they're making something on a monthly basis, and they also have the upside of capital appreciation, the exposure to the market. And Dubai has become somewhere that everybody wants to be part of the story, part of the journey. And so it's a great opportunity to allow that from a lower entry cost into the market and to allow more of an audience to participate in the exposure of the market.
You know, as an end user, I hate the user experience of buying property. You know, there's the agents, the mortgages, the whole experience is not very user-friendly. Do you believe with tokenization, obviously what's happening on fractionalization, but also on everything on the financing side, the UX UI of buying at least a stake in a property will change over the next couple of years?
Definitely. I think it'll become a lot more transparent, a lot more efficient, very fast, and very easy. Today, you can buy property within 3 to 5 minutes on our platform, and it will still include all parties. The banks will still be included from a financing perspective. The brokers will still be included from an acquisition and sale of those properties as a whole property perspective, but the platform will make it a lot more uniform on bringing all of these parties together, and not just our platform, but the ecosystem of PropTech and where it's headed in the next few years. And Dubai is very keen on that. I think they're looking to make it as efficient as possible and has a big focus on PropTech as a sector.
You know, recently we had in Dubai where the Dubai Land Department, the land titles per se were put on chain, which is different than normally. Traditionally, when we talk about real estate tokenization, we used to tokenize SPV that is holding those assets. What is the importance of the land titles themselves being put on the blockchain compared to the other model?
I think it's a phenomenal initiative. It provides a lot more transparency and credibility for the government to be involved, for the Dubai Land Department to be leading in the space and to be offering that in collaboration to achieve the wider market accessibility to real estate. And so they've done a phenomenal job. They have pioneered innovation globally and in the MENA in terms of being at the forefront of this as an initiative and as a concept. And it's been extremely innovative, and they've been phenomenal.
I think it's a use case is absolutely fantastic on this side. And Amira, when you look at outside of Dubai or the UAE, and you look about everything happening that is possible now on tokenization and the financing angle as well, where do you see are the next markets where this could work very well?
I think ultimately, in general, tokenization, whether real estate or other asset classes, is something that will become extremely common across many different markets because it gives access to assets across different demographics and different entry points. So I think it'll become something that's more globally accepted and globally received well across different asset classes. I don't think it will be limited to 1 or 2 or 3 geographies, and I think it'll be across everything. They've already started doing it very heavily into gold, silver. Robinhood recently announced tokenization into private markets and private companies. And so I think it'll become something that goes across every touch point. And if anything can be sold as a full asset, it should be able to be sold as a tokenized fractional asset on a chain.
I think many believe that actually the entire financial markets, and we're seeing it now with treasuries actually, and the increased rise we've seen on tokenized assets. One thing as CEO of the company, When you look at this, what is the biggest risk that you see with the rise of tokenized assets? Is there a particular risk you see is different than what we have with, let's say, physical, old school real estate assets?
That's a great question. I don't see a specific risk to do with that differentiates from the old school assets.
Yep.
I think whatever risk comes with a specific asset class is the risk you're taking in that asset class. So as an example, if you're buying gold today, whether you're buying, a full kilo of gold or tokenized fractional, small amount of gold, your risk is gold. Your risk is not the process or the, ability to fractionalize it or tokenize it. The risk itself is associated with the asset class. I think if you were to ask me what is potentially the biggest risk in it as tokenization or fractional ownership across any asset class, I think it would be the education curve that needs to be focused on so that people understand the risks associated with that asset class, whether you're investing 100 dirhams, $100, $1 million, or $100 million. I think the education curve needs to be there in order for them to understand what are they investing in, why are they investing in it, what is their expected return from this investment.
It's a problem I think we see across the crypto ecosystem. The lack of education in this space is a big one.
For sure, but I think that is on par today with the equity market.
Yeah.
In terms of just a lot more people are becoming investors in the market, which is great. I think it's also the generation is more focused on investment, wanting to put their money to work. And so being at the forefront of education is actually a great place to be. You want to be able to contribute to the education of a sector and the education of an investment, pool and criteria before people go into it.
And Amira, you mentioned a good point, the generational issue. Do you see in the users you have right now, Prypco, a certain particular type of client? Is it an age group? Is it younger people that are using it compared to older ones?
The predominant age group we see is between 20 to 45. And I think that's more to do not with the investment itself of an asset class, but the usage of technology. I think obviously the younger generation is more comfortable with investing their money through technology and through platforms where they can, read up, understand the risks, the KYC and the methodology of investing. It doesn't mean that the older or younger generation is alienated. I think it's just a matter of comfort. I think for some people, that are of the older generation, they still prefer to, meet somebody before making an investment, have a person in front of them. It's not as digitized as it could be. And that's okay. I think it's just a demographic thing. It's what you're comfortable with. And I think country by country that differs. So I think in the MENA region, actually, we're a lot more far ahead at the diversity of age range in terms of investors. And in some countries, you see it skew more towards older, some are younger. So I think it depends on the demographic you're looking at.
Very interesting. I'd love to have you back in a couple of years here to see actually how PropTech has evolved on that perspective. That was Amira Sajwani, the founder and CEO of Prypco.